Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Kayce's Yellowstone spinoff is a big change for Taylor Sheridan. Kayce Dutton's Luke Grimes' Yellowstone spinoff is going to be very different from the rest of Taylor Sheridan's acclaimed shows. Kayce Dutton's upcoming Yellowstone spinoff show, which was recently revealed to be titled Why? Marshals, was already a unique part of the franchise. Instead of airing on the Paramount Network, Why? Marshals will be broadcast on CBS, one of the big three broadcast TV stations in America. It's also said to be a police procedural focusing on Kayce's exploits in law enforcement, rather than a straight drama with elements of action like Yellowstone or its prequel shows. Perhaps the biggest change being made for Why? Marshals regards Taylor Sheridan. Sheridan was the creator, head writer, executive producer, and frequent director of Yellowstone, 1883 and 1923. He's exercised almost complete creative control over the entire Yellowstone franchise since its inception, which is one of the reasons Yellowstone is the best shared TV universe ever. Why? Marshals, however, is said to change how involved Taylor Sheridan is with his own franchise. Despite his role as creator and main creative voice behind Yellowstone, Taylor Sheridan won't have the same role in Why? Marshals. Taylor Sheridan is only an executive producer of Why? Marshals, which means he won't have the same creative control over the new show that he has had in every other Yellowstone show. Instead, Spencer Hudnut is acting as showrunner for Why? Marshals, meaning he'll be the one in charge of creative decisions. Hudnut is best known for writing and producing shows like SEAL Team and Unforgettable. It's safe to say that Why? Marshals won't be solely Taylor Sheridan's. While this is the first time Taylor Sheridan won't be holding the reins of a Yellowstone show, it's not the first time he's acted as mainly an executive producer. Sheridan acted mainly as a producer for both Lawmen, Bass Reeves and Tulsa King, though he created the latter show. While both are distinctly Western and bear some of Sheridan's trademark style choices, those shows are also the most significantly different from Yellowstone in terms of subject and tone. With someone else acting as showrunner, Why? Marshals could easily feel more like Tulsa King than Yellowstone. Without Taylor Sheridan as its lead creative voice, Why? Marshals could end up being very different from Yellowstone and its spin-offs. Perhaps the biggest change, and a potential reason Sheridan isn't acting as showrunner, is the fact that Why? Marshals will be broadcast on CBS as a major broadcast station, and the shows it produces have more restrictions than those produced for Paramount Network or Paramount Plus. As a result, Why? Marshals will almost certainly have less swearing, less intense violence, and fewer controversial moments than Yellowstone does. Those aspects will likely still be present, just not to the same extent. Taylor Sheridan's storytelling empire is about to take a sharp turn, and Kayce Dutton is at the wheel. With the upcoming Yellowstone spinoff focused on Luke Grimes' character, the stakes aren't just high for the Duttons anymore. They're sky high for Sheridan himself. This new chapter signals more than a narrative continuation. It's a bold pivot that might reshape how Sheridan builds his TV universe going forward. Kayce Dutton, the former Navy SEAL turned reluctant rancher and deeply conflicted son, has always existed in Yellowstone's emotional core. Unlike his father John, Kevin Costner, whose brand of leadership is hardened by generations of legacy and trauma, Kayce represents a kind of quiet rebellion. He's a man shaped by both violence and tenderness, duty and doubt. For Sheridan to pull Kayce out of the ensemble and give him the lead in his own series is not just a creative choice, it's a gamble on nuance over bravado, introspection over spectacle. This move marks a departure from the formula that has made Sheridan the current king of Western melodrama. From 1883 and 1923 to Mayor of Kingstown and Tulsa King, his shows thrive on action-heavy arcs, deeply flawed but dominant male protagonists, and sweeping moral battles over land, legacy, and lawlessness. Kayce's spinoff, by contrast, is rumored to lean more into internal conflict, an existential journey of a man who has tried to run from everything he was born into, only to be pulled back in, again and again. If true, this shift indicates Sheridan is ready to challenge both his audience and himself. He's stepping away from the familiar machinery of cattle wars and shootouts, and betting on character psychology, quiet tension, and emotional evolution. That's not to say the new series won't have its share of Yellowstone-style grit, but it may package it in a more introspective, even philosophical has always been one of the heart and soul of choosing between being a warrior or a father, a Dutton or his own man. The spinoff gives that journey space to breathe, and it couldn't come at a more pivotal time. With Kevin Costner's departure and Yellowstone's flagship series reaching its finale, Sheridan's world-building needs a new anchor. Kayce isn't just a safe choice, he's a strategic one. Grimes' understated performance has earned him a loyal fan base, and Kayce's moral ambiguity gives the character room to grow in unpredictable directions. He's the kind of protagonist who can carry a story that isn't about dominance, but survival. Not conquest, but redemption. The spinoff also allows Sheridan to explore new frontiers, both literally and thematically. Speculation suggests that Kayce may leave Montana entirely, which opens up Sheridan's sandbox to new cultural, geographical, and political dynamics. Could we see Kayce navigating life among a different indigenous community, returning to his military roots, or carving out a new kind of Dutton legacy somewhere far from the Yellowstone Ranch? Any of these paths would expand Sheridan's narrative toolkit and stretch the boundaries of the Western genre he's been redefining. Behind the scenes, the Kayce spinoff might also mark a shift in Sheridan's creative process. Until now, he has written most of his series alone, rapidly producing scripts and spinning multiple storylines simultaneously. But as his empire expands and public scrutiny intensifies, there's growing pressure for depth, not just breadth. A more intimate, character-focused series might push Sheridan to slow down, collaborate more, and prioritize quality over quantity. It's an opportunity to refine rather than just scale. And then there's the matter of tone. Yellowstone is famously operatic, huge emotions, high drama, Shakespearean betrayals on horseback. But Kayce has always operated in a lower register. He doesn't yell, he broods. He doesn't seek control, he avoids it. If the spinoff stays true to this emotional temperature, it could create a quieter, more atmospheric show. Think No Country for Old Men rather than Tombstone. A Western where silence speaks louder than gunfire. There's also the question of legacy. Sheridan is at a career crossroads. The initial burst of Yellowstone's success catapulted him into a position few modern showrunners occupy: total creative control, massive budgets, and influence over an entire network strategy. But with great power comes great expectation. The Kayce spinoff is his chance to prove he can evolve. That he's not just the guy who makes neo-westerns, but a writer capable of mining new emotional territory without losing his edge. Of course, fans will want some familiar touchstones. The Dutton family drama, the clash between ranch life and modernity, the unresolved tension between Kayce and Monica, and maybe even appearances from other fan favorites. But this series doesn't have to replicate Yellowstone to succeed, it has to grow from it. Sheridan seems to understand that the strongest stories aren't built on nostalgia, but on transformation. The Kayce spinoff could also be a testing ground for a new kind of Western hero. One less certain, less invincible, and more emotionally layered. In an era where audiences crave more than just anti-heroes and macho tropes, Kayce's quieter struggle, balancing love, identity, land, and legacy, might feel refreshingly grounded. He's not trying to win the West, he's trying to survive it. And that's the big change. Sheridan, who built his empire on characters fighting to protect their kingdoms, is now turning to a man who might be ready to leave his behind, or redefine it entirely. As the dust settles on the Yellowstone flagship and the new frontier of spinoffs begins to rise, Kayce Dutton's story offers both a bridge and a departure. For Taylor Sheridan, it's a chance to evolve his voice, challenge his formula, and prove that in his universe, even cowboys can change.